Welcome, Queen. There's often a compliment that many high achieving women get. You're easy to work with. But let's face it, that compliment often is based or is built on just how much you're willing to absorb, just how much you're willing to take. So, if being easy means you are constantly adjusting yourself for the sake of collaboration, then what that ultimately becomes is self betrayal. So, let's talk about how to stop being the one that everyone sees as the go to, no matter what it costs you. So, to do this, first we determine patterns, meaning signs that say you are the person that everybody looks to. And that means, or can show up as, you are the person that easily say yes no matter what you have to adjust. You smooth over tension or minimize conflict, sometimes at a detriment or a deficit to yourself. You always volunteer to keep things moving forward. You don't express your disagreements, even though you may disagree, because you feel that disagreeing, saying you have a different perspective, that's simply going to cause unnecessary conflict and it just isn't worth it. You frame it as strategic, but truly it's not strategic, because what it is doing is training others. It's training others to bring more to you, to see you as the one that excuse me, and to see you as supportive but not directional. So there is a cost to this, and you may not immediately notice the cost, because the first cost is not burnout. Is burnout on the list? Most definitely. But typically you don't notice burnout in the beginning, because burnout typically happens after a buildup, meaning after this has been ongoing for a period of time. What you notice is your position or positioning, meaning you become dependable, pleasant, the nice go-to whenever I need you, for whatever I need you, person in the office. So while people do see you, they don't see you in a role or in a way that is powerful. They see you, even if they don't say it, subconsciously, they're thinking it as passive. So what do you do? How do you change this? How do you shift this so that you don't have to keep dealing with this? The shift happens first in your mindset. So when you think about being easy to work with, some things that should come to mind is direct, consistent, and boundaried. Not endlessly accommodating to everybody and for every request, meaning you always giving a yes. Because every time you give a yes, that yes costs you. That means you should not always be the person that everyone depends on, no matter the cost to you. Because being that person eventually does lead to burnout, which ultimately costs you your peace. So the next time someone brings to you an assignment, a task, a project, or request, here are some things to consider, especially if you know your plate is already full. I can't take that on right now. I see things differently. Let's clarify expectations. I understand, however, that won't work for me. I would love to assist you. Still, due to my current priorities, I won't be available to do so at this time. My priorities are A, B, C, whatever those three priorities are. You may have more than three. Give a quick pause that gives the person time to reflect on the priorities that you stated, and then follow that up with this. Which one of those would you like me to deprioritize to assist you with this new request, project, or task? That reframe is particularly useful if you are dealing with someone who is above you, meaning in a supervisory position. And and often, I know this is a sidebar, I'm going to pick up and give you a couple more examples, but I want to say this. We can feel as though because the person is in a supervisory role, we cannot deny or say no to a request. And sometimes when supervisors, and this is not an excuse, but this is a reality. Sometimes when supervisors are supervising a number of people, they are not immediately thinking about the timelines and guidelines that you already have with your current priorities. They are typically looking for the person that they know who can get the job done. So if you've shown yourself to be the person who can get things done and do so quickly and accurately, well, guess what? More likely than not, that supervisor, whoever they may be, when they're thinking about who they need, they're going to think of you, no matter what all you already have to do. Typically, not always, but that can be the case. So, again, a few more examples. Based on my current workload, I would need this task extended. Name whatever task that was in order to assist with this new task, whatever task they're bringing to you. A final example. Based on my current workload, I would need to have whatever the task or assignment or project postponed or possibly reassigned to another team member. Because if not, if I take on anything else, I would actually be working from a place and space of burnout. And then pause and wait for a response. Those are just a few ways that you can let people know, hey, I have something to do, and not just something to do, I actually have a lot to do. And so taking on anything else, it would actually be a bit much, or in some cases it could possibly be overwhelming for you. And there's nothing wrong with letting people know that my plate is full. You know, there's a saying that says, if you don't tell me, then I don't know. And so the question becomes, are you making it known that your plate is full? Not saying that they should not know. Yes, especially if they are people in authority that are over you, that are supervising you, they should know what all they have assigned you. But they could be working from a space of overwhelm and overload themselves. And I think sometimes we don't give them that grace. And so we can find ourselves internally frustrated when we are constantly seen as the go-to person. But we have a responsibility to advocate for ourselves. And that starts by letting people know where we are ourselves. So, what I just showed you with those examples is that you can be firm and firmly state your position and do so without being aggressive. Because you don't have to be difficult to be respected, but you do have to be clear. I'm CE Sam telling you that 24 hours doesn't seem long, but in 24 hours, you can change your life. So go ahead and do something life changing now.